Hey, Cabby, what's up? Thank you, Wagtail. We're at 1,000 likes already. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, friends. Hope you guys are having an amazing start to your day. Happy Winning Wednesday. My name is Sam. I help busy professionals build a life that they love. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. Loving yourself first. I believe that's one of the most powerful things you can do, not only for yourself, but for the people around you, is really start when it comes to love, loving yourself, not seeking love outside of yourself, but realizing that love starts with you, right where you're at. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Loving yourself first. How does this even work? How did that even happen? How did that? How can I hear your heavy breathing on the other side? I follow you now, I guess. Hey, friends, welcome to today. My name is Sam. I actually help busy professionals build the life they love through doing what they love. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Loving yourself first is the topic that we're going to have today. Loving yourself first. And I really want you to think about that. When it comes to your goals and your dreams and things you're looking to achieve, where does love start with you? Have you started with loving yourself? Or when it comes to your goals, are you starting with fear? Are you starting with doubt? Because that's the very thing we're going to start talking about today is loving yourself first. Because we realize today the foundation of alignment is learning to love yourself first. And that can be something challenging. Because maybe you thought, I start with doubt. Hey, I feel you, Wig Wagtail. I start with doubt. I started with doubt for a long time. I started with fear as well. I started with uncertainty, but today we're talking about the foundation of alignment and realizing the foundation of alignment starts with loving yourself first. Because as I mentioned before, I help busy professionals build the life that they love. It really starts with you. See, we're taught that love starts when two things come together. We're taught that love only happens in relationships. But I believe the mission that we've been placed on this earth is realize that we are love and that love starts with us. And that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on today. Focusing on aligning our love and most importantly, starting with you. Because one of my favorite quotes says is this, it starts with the relationship you have with yourself. I want you to hear that today. Alignment starts with the relationship you have to yourself. You see, alignment does not start with your career, your relationship, or your goals. It starts with the relationship you have with yourself. And now when we realize that it starts with the relationship we have with ourselves, how is your relationship with yourself? How are you treating yourself? How are you treating your goals? How are you treating your dreams? But most importantly, how are you treating you when it comes to your challenges? Now that we realize that love doesn't start with our careers, it doesn't start with our relationships, it doesn't start with our goals, it starts with the relationship we have with ourselves. That's where alignment starts. And when you hear that, where does that relationship start with you? Because maybe you've been told, what many of us have been told when it comes to relationships, when it comes to our self-care. We've been taught that it's selfish. And what is the learned myth when it comes to self-love? It's an ego project. It's a luxury. It's for those who have the extra time. But the real absolute truth is this. You cannot give what you don't have. And one of my favorite quotes by Marianne Williamson is this. He says, love is what we were born with. Fear is what we learned here. Ooh, isn't that powerful? That love is simply what we were born with. And fear is something that we learned. And when you start to look at your goals like that, your dreams like that, as being something that you learned, it really changed my perspective because I realized that the fear was learned. But not only that fear was learned, but fear was something that I accepted. And that was a hard truth that I had to learn that, because we've been taught that when you take care of yourself, it's kind of selfish. And I know as a parent, you can feel that way very easily, that the time I put into myself is selfish. But it's not. It's essential. But most importantly, that the absolute truth is you deserve care. But most importantly, right here, right? Well, where'd it go? There we go. But most importantly, right here, like it says, the absolute truth is you cannot give what you don't have. And maybe you found yourself in a situation where you're trying to give things that you don't have. And I want you to think about this. This is one of my favorite analogies from Wayne Dyer. He really talks about this story. It says, what you squeeze out under pressure is exactly what you have inside. Hey, Rob, how's it going, friend? Welcome to the live. Glad you're here. And I want to start this conversation with this question. When you get squeezed, what comes out of you? Because I want to share one of my favorite stories by Wayne Dyer is this, right? He goes into a classroom. He used to be a teacher, and he goes into a classroom and he grabs an orange. And he grabs this orange and he squeezes it. And he says, why doesn't apple juice come out of this orange when I squeeze it? Why does orange juice come out when I squeeze this orange? And he was sitting in class asking these children, why is it that apple juice doesn't come out of this orange? Why does orange juice come out? And a little girl raised her hand and she screamed out, it's because that's what's inside. And the question I want to ask you today is, when you get squeezed, when you're under pressure, when you're under fear, under doubt, what comes outside of you? Because I really love, how we talked about, Marianne Williamson said, we were brought into this world and love, and that we learned fear. Fear was a learned action. And as we approach today with fear being a learned action, when we're squeezed, does fear come out of you? Does doubt come out? Does uncertainty come out? Hey, Kayla, welcome to the live. Hey, Connor, welcome to the live. Eric, glad you guys are here. But when you're under pressure, what comes outside of you? Because maybe you find yourself when the pressure is on and the fear creeps in, fear leads the way. I really love this analogy. It says, resentment, burnout, people pleasing comes out. But if you're filled up with patience, compassion, and resilience, when the pressure is on, that's simply the thing that will come out. Because to love without knowing how to love wounds the person we love. That's a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. It says, to love without knowing how to love wounds the person we love. And maybe you found yourself in your past relationships in that same issue where you don't know how to love and you end up hurting them because you've never been taught how to love. But I think what's really powerful here is this. I'm going to show you this right here. This is so awesome. I love this analogy they showed right here. Hey, welcome to Live, exploring the foundation of alignment. Yes, and loving yourself. Share your thoughts, and that's what we're doing today. We're sharing those thoughts in alignment. And this is one thing I love that's super powerful. It says, we're talking about the armor, the pain body, the inner critic. And that's usually what surrounds us, right? We use our armor, our fear, our doubt, our pain to armor who truly ourselves are, to armor ourselves, our true selves. I want you to hear this. You see, the voice in your head is not you. You are the observer listening to it. I need you to hear that those voices in your head that said you can't do it, you can't accomplish your dreams, that's not you. Those are just the observers, and you're listening to them. And see, the inner critic is conditional. It's a pattern of thinking fueled by accumulated emotional suffering in the pain body. And the perfectionism, people pleasing, and overachieving are simply the armor we wear to protect the core. And what is our core, Larry? Our core is our true self. And what are those things? Is that inner critic something you put on to as armor? Is it the voice in your head that says you won't amount to anything? Are you using that as armor to push to your next level of achievement? Or because at the end of the day, the armor is really just your ego. You know, the ego says, I'm not enough until I fix something. Or maybe your ego says, validation must be earned through performance. How many of us have been taught that? That your validation is earned by performance. Or maybe you find yourself trapped in the past regret of, or even future anxiety. Maybe wondering if you'll be able to live up to the expectations that you have for yourself. Or maybe it's simply perfectionism and self abandonment. Maybe you've just been abandoning yourself, not thinking you're worthy of more. But see, when we operate out of alignment, which is worthiness of being, see, alignment says, I am who exactly I am. I need you to get that today. Because I love what alignment says here. Alignment says, value is inherent to my existence. That just you are valuable just as you are. But most importantly, that resting entirely in this present moment, realizing that this moment is the gift. And alignment says that vulnerability and authenticity. And I want you to think about that. Which column, whoo, which column directed your internal monologue this week? Have you been letting perfectionism guide your way, or have you been letting vulnerability and authenticity rule? Where have you found yourself on that spectrum? Because this is what I need you to hear this today. If you haven't heard anything else, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. And I hope that's empowering and humbling at the same time, because maybe you find yourself in a place where you don't want to be. But I want you to know that you're empowered, that you've chosen where you're up to this point in your life, you have chosen where you are. And I think with that ownership, with that strength, with that power, your mess is your message. Healing is not ensuring your history is not going to be repeated, right? Oh, that's so funny. Somebody. All right, friends, if you're coming on in here, I want to read that quote to you. It says, your mess is your message. Healing is not ensuring your history is decluttering your identity before demanding the outcome. I need you to hear that today. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. And I want to ask you this question. Who have you chosen to become? Who have you chosen to become? Because self-confidence is just self-trust. Trust is rebuilt marble by marble. It's not forged in one grand gesture, but it's a micro moments where you choose not to abandon yourself. You see, self-worth cannot be verified by others. Your worthiness, because you say so. I need you to hear that today. You are worthy because you say so. Your worth is not tied to anyone else's expectations or experiences, but it's forged not in the grand gestures, but in the micro moments when you choose not to abandon yourself. Isn't that powerful? That it's in your choices. But most importantly, I want you to see this today. I love this system here because it's so powerful. Healing is not destination. Healing is not a destination. It is a decision you make methodically every single day. And I think the most powerful thing is that it always starts with the choice. Speaking to yourself like someone you love and making that promise at the same time. Making that promise to yourself that you're keeping those micro commitments to your own well being. But most importantly, it's all about having the pause because the pause helps us return to this moment of mindfulness. Isn't that powerful that that pause helps you return to that moment of mindfulness? Because like I said earlier, healing is not a destination. It's making mechanically every single day. It's a choice you make every single day. It's simply that healing is something you choose every single day. And that's a powerful thing because that means you get to choose. But it's time to have that holy relationship with yourself again. I don't know what that means for you, but it's something about having that best relationship that starts with yourself. Because that simply starts with self-forgiveness. It's an absolute reset button. And it's time to forgive yourself for the past mistakes, but most importantly for the things you didn't know. Because you cannot love yourself while holding yourself in contempt for your past. And when you own your story and you start loving yourself through the process, it's the bravest thing you'll ever do. Because at the end of the day, it's time to stop asking for permission. You see, no one is coming to give you the worth you've already possessed. You must declare it first. I need you to hear that today. Stop waiting for permission. No one is coming to give you your worth that you just already possess. You must declare it first. It's so powerful, right? Because right here, it's time to step out of your armor and into an environment designed to build your new template. And I want to invite you here today to join the Take My Free Alignment Assessment. And in that assessment, we'll identify the specific armor, the default coping mechanisms. We'll make an exact script for your inner critic. But most importantly, we'll establish a starting line for your self-trust journey. And then I want to invite you to join my alignment community. After you take that assessment, you'll be invited to join my alignment community. It's a sacred space to entirely free performance of perfection. It's a place where we can share our journeys with empathy and high achieving peers. But most importantly, I'm going to give you daily practices to sustain your alignment feedback loops. It's time to start building a circle of trust, but most importantly, a circle of care for yourself. And the last thing here I want to offer you is this: apply for the alignment method. It's my one-on-one coaching opportunity for you to work one-on-one with me. 12 weeks coaching sessions. You'll get all my special resources as well. But it's systematically installed the old programming, to get rid of the pain body. We're going to build unshakable corresponding self-trust, marble by marble. But most importantly, we're going to master your daily decisions required to sustain totally life alignment. It's time to start stepping into who you were created to be. But most importantly, it's time to step forward into new possibilities. See, I need you to hear this today. You've been settling for less than your best. And that simply right there has been a choice that you have made right there and for yourself. So I hope this not only empowered you, but I hope this encouraged you to step into your next level with strength, with confidence, but most importantly, step into it with joy, knowing that this is the beginning of something beautiful because you're beautiful. Knowing that this is the beginning of something beautiful because you deserve the best. Knowing that this is the beginning of something beautiful because your destiny isn't dictated by your past, but it's time for you to step into your future, realizing that change starts with you. I need you to hear that today. Because maybe you thought change started outside of you. Maybe you thought change started somewhere else. But today I need you to hear this, that change starts with you. And as I leave you with that question, I want you to ask yourself this question: what are you going to do? I hope it's honoring the goal. I hope it's honoring the dream. But most importantly, I hope it's stepping into who you were designed to be. Because when you do that, that's the moment you set yourself free. Take care.